Myself and my colleague SABC Slengile took a road trip around PE. We were trying to find out from ordinary citizens exactly how do they rate the president. And I must say, Sakina, the general feel was that there is admiration and also appreciation of the work done by President Cyril Ramaphosa and also his government, especially in terms of how they handle COVID-19. But Sakina, the huge outcry from all people we spoke to is that there is an urgent need for economic stability, an urgent need for job creation, especially in terms of young people. And people are saying this state of the nation cannot just be business as usual. It can't be a talk shop because we are living in trying times and people now, above everything else, are looking for solutions. But joining this morning, like you said, is political analyst Ongama Mtimka to speak more exactly what's expected tonight when the president delivers his State of the Nation address. Ongama, let's just first talk exactly what is the state of the nation, because whatever the president speaks into must speak exactly into that. And do we have enough resources to deal with what's happening in the state currently?
Quite an interesting question, Lerato. Part of the problem in South Africa is that we don't have an established framework for evaluating the state of the nation. There's been a lot of publications by the HSRC, among others, that kind of point to certain focus areas. But we've had a situation where each president chooses what they want to write home about in order to report. So there does need to be a framework that is established for reporting on the state of the nation. Currently, we know that the economy is not doing well. It's been shedding jobs. We know that government has been curtailing capital expenditure since 2018, something that has put the construction sector at a disadvantage. Also, the number of people deriving value from the South African economy in terms of income has been declining, especially if you look at the employment rate. We all know that in South Africa we've had a problem throughout history, in fact, of a disproportionate share of the national income between the rich and the poor. So among these are among some of the problems that seem intractable and relentless, regardless of the efforts that government is doing.
And then, Ongama, we got to speak to some citizens, but what do you think is a general expectation from citizens of the State of the Nation address, and do we have enough resources to deal with the expectations that people have for tonight?
If ever there was a State of the Nation address where the focus was on socio-economic well-being, or what's measured in the Human Development Index, it's this one. People want to understand what role the state is taking for itself in improving social development or socio-economic development. In what ways will government help stimulate a socio-economic growth that is shared? In what ways are the reforms that are being made from a legislative point of view on small business creating space for what people are doing, especially in communities, to survive so that it grows? I think that we've arrived in South Africa at a time when the talk about addressing the binding constraints to economic growth are being addressed so that we can have small business play a greater role in the economy. It's been increasing since 2013, as we saw in Stats SA data last year, but a lot can be done in order to ensure that small businesses grow. We've seen research in one of the special economic zone that shows that locally grown enterprises tend to have a greater multiplier effect, in the sense that those businesses grow with the local supply chains as opposed to global capital that comes into countries with its established supplier networks from abroad.
Obviously we are living during the time of the pandemic, and people are hoping he'll zoom into this as well. In your conversation, if you had a chat with the president, what did you ask him in terms of consultative work he's done with other countries and how they've dealt with COVID-19 as opposed to how we have dealt with the virus?
So the question would be simple. To which extent does the President and Cabinet and National Coronavirus Command Council balance between what is called global best practice and the context in South Africa? There are some of the things that have been taken from abroad which work, but in the context of South Africa could have been done better. If you look at, for example, at medical responses to COVID-19, I think that we have research capabilities within the country But I think sometimes the the international political economy of trade regulations and health governance sometimes precludes countries that are developing from developing locally grown solutions, which could have not just an effective medical response, but also, improve the economy of the country as it responds. So, for example, locally grown medicines. I mean, we have an established pharmaceutical sector. So those types of things. I think there has to be a balance between global best practice and what is suitable for the country.
Well, that was political analyst Ongama Mtimka just speaking into some of the issues he hopes President Ramaphosa zooms into during the State of the Nation address. Above all, saying that what's going to be paramount is what strategies are being put in place to increase job creation and also improve the socio-economic issues facing the people in the country.